to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be going over my July TBR. So I have a total of 8 books on my TBR for this month. I'm not going to go in any particular order of the books that I'm going to show you, but I will start with the one that I've already started, and that is Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I've never read a Riley Sager book before, so I thought I would start with this one. I do plan on reading all of his books eventually, but I thought this would be a great one to start with considering it just came out. This book follows a girl named Charlie who goes to the university, and she decides to look at the campus ride service, I believe. I'm not very far in this book, so I'm just going off of what I know so far. And she gets in contact with this guy named Josh, and he is apparently going the same way that she is. So they decide to carpool, and she is actually packing up her dorm because it's 10 days before Thanksgiving and she plans on going home, but she packed up her dorm because she eventually wants to come back, but right now she needs a break from college. And that is because her college roommate Maddie was actually murdered, and she is actually she is third of 3 girls who have been murdered over a 4-year span, and they believe it's the same person due to the fact that they are all murdered the same way, or their bodies are discovered the same exact way. And Charlie feels like Maddie being murdered is her fault, and so because of that she's having a hard time at the university because everyone in her dorm knows that Charlie was with Maddie the night that she was murdered. Then she suspects that this guy who is driving her is the murderer. And so far it's pretty good. I am 83 pages in and I'm really enjoying it so far, and I definitely would recommend this book to a lot of people. My husband asked me what it was about. I gave him basically the same synopsis that I just gave you guys. He said it sounds really good and he's not a reader. So yeah, this is the first book. The next book I want to read is What Comes After by Joanne Tompkins. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't really have an idea of what this book is about. I know that there's like death or murder or suicide or something along those lines in this book. I watched Gabby Reed's video where she did the try a chapter, and she said that the first chapter is like 2 pages, and she said just based off of those 2 pages she was instantly hooked, and because of that I wanted to buy it and read it, so I bought it and I will be reading it this month. And then Gabby actually did put it on her June wrap up, and it just made me want to read it even more, so I will be reading this book this month. The next book I don't have because I have to buy it. It's just the 5th and final book in the selection series, and it's called Crown. I can talk more about how I'm feeling about the series so far in my June wrap-up video, which will be coming after this one. Probably film it right after this video. But I feel like at this point I might as well just finish out the series, so that's what I'm going to be doing. So I'll be reading that book. Just a quick, easy read because it's YA, so it's for young adults, and that's not me, so it's like I read it fairly quickly. So it's just a fun, easy read, and it's nice to have one of those every month. The next book I'll be reading this month is The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. A lot of people have been talking about this book, and a lot of people have nothing but good things to say about it. It's 404 pages, so it's not like a super quick read, but I definitely think it'll be a good book to read for this month. Gabby Reeds is doing Summerween. I don't even know what that is, but she's been talking about it, and a lot of people are talking about horror books they're reading. I guess this would be a good book to read for that if I decide to participate. I'm not exactly sure what even that is, like I said, but if there's like a discussion where people talk about the books they read, then I can jump in. Kind of with Survive the Night. I started reading that before I knew it was her July's book club pick, but now I can join the live show, so that's pretty exciting. The next book I'll be reading this month I'm super excited for. I just hauled this in my last video. I had a massive book haul and this book was in here. This is The Push by Ash actually Adrian. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but a lot of people have been talking about this book and I'm really excited to read it. I'm in a book group on Facebook and they all do like their wrap-ups at the end of the month, and I swear I see this book on like 4 or 5 wrap-ups every single month, and I'm just like, okay, I need to read it. So I bought it and I'm gonna read it this month, and I'm very, very, very excited to see what it's about. It's a good, it's the Good Morning America book club picks, so it must be good because I read The Vanishing Half last month. I'll talk more about that in my wrap-up, and that was also, I believe, a Good Morning America book club pick. So the next book I'll be reading is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'm excited for this book because I read The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo in May, so I feel like I can kind of understand this book because it's not like the second book or anything to that, but it goes off of one of Evelyn Hugo's husbands, Mick Riva's 4 children. So I'm excited to read this, and also I've been told that this book is a great summer book because it really just paints Malibu so beautifully and it feels like you're actually there while you're reading it, which is super exciting for me because I live in Washington. Although last week we had like a freaking heat, I don't know what happened, it was super hot, it was like 115, never in my life of living in Washington State, which has pretty much been my entire life. I moved away in 2016 and I came back in 2018, so I missed like 2 or 3 summers. Essentially I've lived here my whole life and I've never seen it get that hot before. It was absolutely insane because a lot of houses here don't have central air. We were relying on window air conditioners and ceiling fans. So, but I'm excited to read this book because I heard that the writing is just really good and it makes you feel like you are in Malibu, which is fun. I want that. It's summertime. I'm ready. The next book I'll be reading is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. I'm excited for this book. I'm doing book bingo in my book group on Facebook, my actual like book club that I have a group on Facebook for, and one of the prompts is reading a book that is being turned into a movie. And when I was Googling this book to see like if the main genre is historical fiction, I saw that they were making a movie on this. So that's exciting. I can cross that off on the bingo board when I'm done reading this. One of the prompts is also reading a book over 500 pages, and I read The Great Alone last month, which was 545 pages, and that's the biggest book I've ever read. This book is 564 pages, so this will be the biggest book that I have ever read. So I'm excited about that. The next book and last book on my TBR is the 3rd time it will have been on my TBR, and I know what you guys are thinking. Jayden, you said you were going to read that book last month, and I really planned on it. I really did. And I'll talk more about why I didn't get to it in my June wrap-up, and that was because I was in a huge, really bad reading slump. Like, it was so bad. It took me 1 week to read 343 pages. That normally takes me like 2 or 3 days. So it was awful. So I didn't get to Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. So I'm putting it back on this TBR, and 3rd time's a charm. Fingers crossed I'll actually get to it, because at this point I have like no motivation, if that's the right word, to even pick up this book and read it because it's been on my TBR going on 3 months now. But I really want to read this. I waited for the hardcover to come. I don't know what else to say. I want to get to this book eventually, and that eventually has to be this month. I'm not going to go into detail about what this book's about because I already explained it when I put it on my May TBRs. So that is all the books I plan on reading in July. That's only 8 books, but one of them is freaking thick. So I don't want to add anything else right now. I'll stick with 8. If I have time after I read the 8 books to read more, then that's what I'll do. But as of right now, I'm only putting those 8 on my TBR. But thanks so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!